Hey y'all, so I'm making another video about safety. Um so one of the things that I was thinking about that I haven't told y'all is that I am a truck driver, and I've also driven garbage trucks even though for a very short amount of time. And one thing that I always notice when it came to driving safety is that on every vehicle that I had to drive, or every truck, I had to do a pre-trip. And so I think that most people naturally do pre-trips. Like when you're approaching your car, for instance, you're always checking for leaks, for low tire pressure, for cracking the windshield, for scratches on the side. So a pre-trip is basically like before you actually drive, you're checking to make sure that your vehicle is in good enough shape for you to be able to drive. So that means no leaks, no cracks, and obvious areas where it could be damaging. No missing lug nuts, bolts on your tires, tire pressure is good, things like that. So before you any rideshare driver begins to drive, I would always recommend doing a pre-trip, making sure that your vehicle has not been compromised by just driving hard on it or by someone else. So you always want to make sure, like, say for instance, if you were leaving a grocery store and you were approaching your vehicle. So you're looking under your vehicle for leaks. But also in this day and age, when it comes to a safety from other people, you're looking to make sure nobody's hiding behind your car, in your car, around your car, under your car, if left it unlocked for any reason or just because you forgot. Um, but yeah, just a general pre trip. Now, usually when we do a pre trip on a truck, you're checking oil, coolant. You're checking the operation of the vehicle. Other little things that aren't attached to a car or a regular personal truck. We will be checking. But when I say pre trip for us, like rideshare drivers, I just mean like just checking um the outer and inner composition of the vehicle, making sure your air is working if it's hot outside, making sure your heat and defroster is working if it's raining or if it's cold, making sure that the car is clean, making sure that your lights work, your high beams, your low beams, your flashers, because a lot of times we do have to use our flashers, especially if we're on a busy street. Um, Let me see what else. Yeah, your windshield wipers, anything that you would have to use for the rain, left turn signal, right turn signal, all of those things. The next thing, some things that I carry in my car when it comes to needing a jump or anything like that, of course, I have a set of jumper cables. They're a little tangled. I did have to use them recently, about 2 months ago, when my car stalled because my battery gave out. I had a bad battery basically, and fortunately, I met another rideshare driver who was kind enough at the airport to give me a boost. But it's not a good feeling, and it took me a while to actually find somebody who was willing to give me a boost. So you have to think about that. Now, one thing that my girlfriend does have in her car that I actually need myself is one of these. So this is also a battery startup, but instead of using somebody else's car, you have a plug, and you basically plug it into the nearest electrical source. If there's a source that's close enough, you just plug it up, and you can do it that way. So that way you don't have to depend on somebody else if your car was to ever give out, or if you have some type of like I don't know if an extension cord will work with this, but if you were close enough to somewhere where you could plug it up, that would be very beneficial if your car needed a boost and there wasn't anybody around. Another thing that she has in her car, she's probably better prepared for any emergency situation, more so than I am, but she has this. this is a for your tires. When your tire pressure is low and you need to just fill it up real quick, and you're not close enough to a gas station that has a tire station, you can use this, and all you do is you just plug it in. Now you have to be careful because this can overheat, so you have to kind of take breaks. You don't want it to get too hot because it'll kind of wear your battery out because it takes a lot of energy. But yeah, those are some things that you can use to make sure that you're always prepared, always have stuff like this in your trunk. And this is another thing for tires, but it's just for like if you actually had a flat. So you can find this at AutoZone, Walmart, online, Amazon, but it's emergency flat tire repair. So just like if you needed to repair your tire really quickly and you needed to go ahead and get somewhere so you can actually get the tire replaced, then you can get this also. Some other things that I carry around for safety, power steering fluid. Not that you would ever really need that. Just some oil if I was ever running low. I do get my oil changes regularly as I should. But because I don't do them myself, I just carry some. I haven't had to use this, I don't think ever, but I do have the type of oil that I would need for my car, which is full synthetic. Well, once you start using full synthetic, you have to keep using full synthetic. So that's the kind of oil that I have. So you would need to find out the proper oil that you would need for your vehicle, and it's based on the oil changes that you've already been getting. Another thing that I have, let me reach down here and get it, is coolant. Of course, during the summer, I'm in the South, so it gets hot down here. So I do need that. If I ever had to, if I didn't have time to get like a proper flush and I just needed to fill it up, I do have some coolant. And then last but not least, well, so this is what you can use, if you needed to pour the coolant in, or if you needed to pour in a liquid into one of the reservoirs, whatever you were trying to pour, you can use this so that you're not spilling liquid everywhere. But I specifically use this for my gas tank, and I have this basically this fuel saver. So I buy it from AutoZone, and basically it helps my fuel consumption. It cleans out my gas tank, and I use it probably once a month. But you can find it at AutoZone. They'll know what you're talking about, but it helps to save on fuel, and it cleans out your fuel tank so that your all of the grit and debris that gets caught into your tank is kind of helping to kind of like wash that out and help your fuel consumption be better. So you basically use this to help pour the liquid into your fuel tank. And then last but not least, of course, if you're ever running low on gas and you need to walk to a gas station, you always want to have one of these in your trunk so that you can use that to fill up your tank, just so you can have enough gas to get to the gas station. So you always want to have that in your car in case you were to ever run out of gas. I never let my gas tank get below a half a tank. Anytime it gets to a half a tank, I go ahead and fill it up, especially because you don't know how long your next ride is going to be. You don't know if it's going to be in the middle of nowhere, and the nearest gas station might be 20, 30 miles away. So you just want to be prepared for that. That is if you accept rides that long. But those are just as far as like for driving safety. You want to have those types of things in your car. Another thing that I thought was really cool as far as like having some barrier of protection between you and the rider, or between you and people getting in your car, is this guy, and this is if you want to invest this, but this guy had a partition specially made, and he had it cut out by the person that made it. They cut it out specifically to fit in his car. So he had a glass partition specially made for his car so that he could have a barrier between him and the people getting in his car. And that's a big investment, but a lot of people do this full time, and a lot of people do make somewhere between 2,000, maybe sometimes 3,000 a week from rideshare. So if you want to invest that much and you feel like safety is a big issue, or you want to have some barrier of protection, you can always, use that. And you can have a little window cut out to where you can still communicate between you and the driver and you and the rider in case they needed to give you some instructions on where to go or anything like that. What else? So always, when it comes to safety, of course, pay attention to your surroundings, pay attention to what's happening around you, the people that are walking, when you're picking people up, pay attention to the other cars. Just like, you really do definitely want to pay attention. Yes, paying attention. Um, just anything, like when you're driving, right? Also, but when you're stopped, especially when you're stopped for somewhere around 3 to 5 minutes, you definitely have to be alert with what's happening around you. You do want to um, not be staring at your phone, or not looking like you're lost if you are lost, because 3 to 5 minutes is doesn't seem like a long time, but it can be a long time to kind of sit and wait on a rider to come. And of course, if at any time you ever feel like you're sitting too long, even if it's just 3 to 5 minutes, then just cancel the ride and leave, or find a different spot to wait, or something like that. And if you already have somebody in your car and you don't feel safe, the biggest thing that I would recommend is that you pull over at a well-lit place, so like a well-lit gas station, a crowded place, and you ask the rider to, get out and find another ride. It sounds rude, but if you don't feel safe and you don't know where you're going, you could be going to a more secluded place. If you don't feel safe with the people in your car, there's a way to ask them to leave, even though, they may be upset. But of course, it's your safety that is first. So yeah, that would be my recommendation with that is, if you don't feel comfortable where you're going, or if you feel like the destination is not clear, you have discretion as the driver, and you can always call Uber or Lyft or whoever you're driving for, and report it, and tell them what happened. And you know most of the time they'll understand. The next thing is to, when it comes to like physical protection, I think I said this in the last safety video, find out the gun laws in your state. Find out if it's okay for you to carry in your car. I hope that you would never actually have to use any type of protection, but it is important to know the laws in relation to what's appropriate in rideshare, but also what's appropriate in your state, or specifically when it comes to carrying firearms in cars. Um, of course, I always recommend not to have any type of firearm in obvious view for the rider to see, because that would be uncomfortable or unsafe anyway. Either way, and it always escalates the situation, I think, when the presence of firearms can be seen. But you do want to have some access to protection if something um, became out of your control. So, you know, depending on the state that you're in and which rideshare company you're driving for, you need to figure out, what you can do as far as gun protection. But there is also, just for like physical protection, what I used to do was I used to just take kickboxing classes, and that would just keep me sharp, keep me in shape. Um, because like I said, a lot of times you get very comfortable doing ride share. You're sitting down most of the time. I got to the point to where I would, and this is probably bad, but barely turn around to even look to see who was getting in my car, because I would be driving so many people, and it just became so routine and robotic that I wouldn't even turn around to see exactly who was getting in the car other than looking in the rearview mirror. So doing things like exercising and stretching, things to keep you limber, flexible, doing some light running, and also self-protection classes like kickboxing or jiu-jitsu or anything like that. Like, it just keeps you sharp mentally and physically. Hopefully you would never have to, use that, any of those tactics or techniques, but it does help to keep you like alert and aware of your surroundings. Because like I said before, I've been in a lot of situations where thankfully nothing happened, but I did feel unsafe, and I, wouldn't want anybody else to be in those situations, or at least not being aware of how to handle them. So those things, like, they do help you stay sharp. Um, yeah, the biggest and most ultimate thing is just to pay attention, maintain a safety cushion as much as possible between you and the driver. I always ask drivers, if it's just one person, I'll ask them to sit like in this direction, diagonal for me, so that provides the biggest safety cushion. I don't feel as comfortable with one person sitting directly behind me because um my view is even more limited. It's limited either way. I'm sorry. It's limited either way, whether or not the person is behind you directly or in a diagonal position. But it's you have at least a better chance of having a cushion and being able to glance over and see the person in their entirety versus not being able to see where their hands are if they're directly behind you. So that would be my recommendation. You can always politely ask somebody to get over on the other side. And my excuse is always that, well, you'll probably feel the air better on that side, or I'm going to let my window down and the air might be bothering you, so you know it'll probably be more comfortable for you if you sit on that side. But those are just some little tidbits. If I can think of anything else, I'm going to make another video, because safety, you can have an endless video about safety. It just goes on and on. It's so many directions that you can take that conversation in. But hopefully this helps some people who are considering rideshare driving, and look up articles about it in your area and see what other people are saying about it. See what their experiences are, so that should definitely help. If you guys have any tips, please feel free to tip out, give any tips that you all have. I thank you all for tuning in, and I look forward to posting more videos about this, and hopefully you all will continue to tune in and tip out. Thank you so much, and I will see you all later.